The myth of mankind long ago, before the great alien empires ruled the stars, there was a species known as humans. They were smart, dangerous, and full of fire. But now, no one remembers them. They are only stories told to young alien children. Krolax, a young alien cadet, sat quietly as his grandfather spoke beside the fire. They say humans had eyes like fire, and weapons that could destroy planets, the old alien said. But they became too proud. The council ended them all, burned their worlds. Now they are just a myth. Krolax didn't believe the stories. He had trained in the best space academy. No records ever mentioned humans as real. They were bedtime tales, ghosts from the past. Then everything changed. A deep alarm echoed through the command center of the starship Vexor 9. Red lights flashed. Officers moved quickly. Captain Theron shouted, "Incoming signal from Sector 43B, Mining Colony Alpha, is under attack." Krolax leaned forward. He had friends at that colony. "Put it on the screen," the captain ordered. The screen showed a broken message from the mining station. "Unknown ships, black, fast, no answer. They're attacking. Everything's..." Signal lost. Silence filled the room. "Send a scout team," said the captain. "Find out what happened." Krolax was chosen to lead the team. He felt nervous but proud. This was his first real mission. The scout ship flew fast through space. When they reached the mining colony, what they saw made their blood run cold. The colony was gone. Everything was destroyed. Metal twisted like paper, buildings crushed, ships melted, no life signs. Krolax stepped onto the blackened ground. His boots crunched over ash and bones. "This was not pirates," said one of his team. "This was war." They searched the ruins. Inside the remains of a command center, Krolax found a strange metal piece. It was burned, but a symbol was still clear. A skull, human. His heart beat faster. "This can't be real," he whispered. Back on the ship, he ran the symbol through the database. At first, no results. But then, a locked file appeared. "Access denied. Level 9 clearance only." Krolax hacked the file using a stolen code he found during training. The file opened slowly. It was old. Very old. A video played. A woman with dark eyes and short hair stood in front of a burning city. "They think we are gone. They think we are weak. Let them believe. We will return, and we will not forgive." The file name was Project Revenge. Active Krolax stared at the screen. Could it be true? Were humans not extinct? Were they hiding, waiting, and now fighting back? Before he could think more, the ship's lights dimmed. "Power drop!" shouted the pilot. "Something's above us." Krolax ran to the window. His mouth fell open. A massive black ship hovered silently above them. It had no lights, no markings. It didn't match any alien design. Suddenly, a new signal came into their ship. It wasn't a call. It was a warning. This is only the beginning. The black ship turned slowly, then vanished into hyperspace. Everyone was silent. Back at the Empire's capital, the High Council met in fear. No one wanted to say the word, but it echoed in every mind. Humans. Krolax sat alone in his cabin that night. He opened his grandfather's old book of stories. One page showed the skull symbol, the same one he found. He touched the page and whispered, "They were never a myth." Return of the Forgotten Space was quiet. Too quiet. After the attack on Mining Colony Alpha, fear spread across the stars. For the first time in centuries, the great alien empires felt afraid. The word humans was being whispered again, but the leaders denied it. "There is no proof," said the High Chancellor of the Varnak Empire. "Just pirates using old symbols," said another. But in the shadows, secret meetings began. Emergency scans were ordered. Border planets prepared for war, and far away, in a dark corner of space, they were watching. Inside a silent control room on a hidden ship, Captain Alara Voss stood before a large screen. Her eyes were cold. Her face had scars. Her heart held no mercy. Target successful, her officer reported. No survivors. Fear level rising across 5 sectors. Ilara nodded slowly. Good, she said. Let them remember us. Behind her stood a new kind of human, taller, faster, enhanced with machines and training passed down for 500 years. They were not just soldiers. They were built for revenge. Prepare the next phase, she ordered. Activate the beacon. One of her officers pressed a button. Across the galaxy, every alien network flickered. A message played. The screen showed ruins, bones, and burned cities. Then Ilara appeared, standing in silence. Her voice was calm but sharp like a knife. We were called myths. We were called extinct. But you forgot something. You didn't kill all of us. And the ones who survived learned. The message ended with a chilling line. We return, we reclaim, we burn. In the command center of the Varnak fleet, panic exploded. Who sent that broadcast? A general shouted. How did they get into our systems? No one had answers. Only fear. Krolax stood quietly in the corner. He was now working under Commander Tyrus, head of external threats. Krolax had shared the skull symbol, the secret file, and everything he saw. But most officials still didn't believe. It's just fear propaganda, Tyrus said. Someone is trying to shake us. But Krolax wasn't sure anymore. He opened the video again. This time he focused on the background behind Ilara. A small detail, a symbol on the wall. It looked familiar. He searched the archives. After hours of digging, he found it. It was from Earth, the lost human homeworld. But that world was gone. Destroyed. A dead rock. Or so they thought. Back in the hidden sector of dead space, Ilara met with her council of captains. They sat around a long table, maps glowing before them. Lines, planets, old wounds. Phase 2 begins now, she said. We strike military posts. Then we erase their history. A younger officer, Duran, raised his voice. Captain, why destroy their history? Some of them were not part of the purge. Some were born long after. Ilara's eyes locked onto him. The room went silent. They all benefited from our pain, she said coldly. They built their empires on our ashes. Darren lowered his head, but a seed of doubt had been planted. Meanwhile, Krolax visited an old retired data keeper, one of the last alive from the time of the human purge. They were not all evil, the old alien said. We were told lies. Some humans tried to make peace, but the council wanted power. They wiped them out to stay in control. Krolax felt sick, so the stories were real. But backwards, he said. The truth is always buried by those who fear it, the old one whispered. Later that night, 12 alien ships were destroyed in 3 different sectors. At the same second. No traces. No survivors. The human warships moved like shadows. Fast, silent, unstoppable. They didn't take prisoners. Only one signal was found in the wreckage. A strange file, locked behind a firewall. After hours of decoding, it opened. Krolax watched in horror. It showed the original human purge from centuries ago. Aliens burning cities, killing children, smiling. The file name, Truth. Ext. His world collapsed. Back at the High Council, an emergency meeting was held. We must crush them now, shouted one leader. Send the Omega fleet, another cried. Find their home and end this. But no one knew where humans were hiding. They had vanished too well, and before the meeting could end, every light in the chamber went dark. A new message played. Ilara again. You taught us war. Now we teach you loss. This is not revenge. This is memory delivered. Then she sent something more terrifying than a threat. Coordinates. To the center of the alien empire. As panic grew, Krolax stared at the screen. Something didn't feel right. Why would humans send coordinates? Was it a trap or an invitation? He turned to Commander Tyrus. "We need to go there," he said. "We need to see it ourselves." Tyrus laughed. "You want to fly into the mouth of the enemy?" Krolax didn't smile. "Yes," he said, "because I don't think they are the enemy we were told about." Voices from the ashes space was on fire, not with flames but with questions. The attacks continued. Alien outposts disappeared overnight. Warships were being torn apart with no warning, no trace, and no survivors. The once proud alien empires, who had ruled for centuries without fear, were now drowning in panic. But in the middle of this chaos, one question burned the brightest. Who is Ilara Voss? Krolax sat alone in the dark archive chamber, deep below the capital city. The room was filled with dust, silence, and secrets. He had broken 5 security codes just to get in. Before him floated a glowing orb, a memory core, old, unstable, forbidden. He activated it. The room flickered and changed. Suddenly he was standing inside a burning city. Screams echoed through the sky. Above, alien warships rained fire. Below, children ran for cover. Mothers cried. Soldiers fell. The city's name was New Terran Prime, the last human capital before the purge. Then he saw her, a little girl, hiding behind rubble, holding her brother's hand. Her clothes were torn. Her face was covered in ash. But her eyes were full of fire. That was Ilara. A voice echoed from the memory file. Civilian File 612, name, Ilara Voss. Parents, killed during Operation Cleansing. Status, missing. Presumed dead. But she didn't die. She escaped. Somewhere in the hidden edges of dead space, the human fleet floated like ghosts among stars. Massive warships, black and silent. No windows, no symbols, just steel and vengeance. Inside the main command ship Vindicator, Ilara stood in her war room, staring at a hologram of the alien empire. Her captains watched her in silence. Our people were broken. She began, voice cold. Our cities burned, our history erased, and they called it peace. She turned slowly. Well, now, we show them what memory looks like. Her plan was clear. Phase 1, spread fear. Phase 2, erase alien history. Phase 3, dismantle their empire, piece by piece. But not everyone agreed. Daran, the youngest of her commanders, stepped forward. "Captain," he said, "there are whispers in the fleet. Not everyone wants more blood." Ilara's eyes narrowed. "And what do you want, Commander?" He hesitated. "Justice, not extinction." She didn't speak. She simply walked past him. "Then you don't understand," she whispered, "because you didn't grow up in the ashes." Back in the alien capital, Krolax rushed to Commander Tyrus. "I saw the original purge," he said. "They lied to us. They hid it all." Tyrus stared at him. "You think this changes anything?" Krolax raised his voice. "It changes everything. We're not the victims in this story." They were. Tyrus leaned closer. "Maybe. But now they've become exactly what we once were, and if we don't stop them, they'll finish what we started." In the outer ring of the galaxy, 5 alien research stations went offline. No explosions, no damage, just silence. When a scout ship entered the area, it found something chilling. The stations were not destroyed. They were emptied. Not a single life form. Just a single message carved into the walls. We don't forget. We don't forgive. But there was something else. One station had been left untouched. A trap. A hidden recording showed a small team of human operatives, dressed in black, faces hidden, but one of them paused, looked directly into the camera and whispered, "We were never myths. We were memories. Waiting." The recording cut off. Krolax reviewed the footage. He zoomed in on the speaker's face. It was a child, no older than 15. A child soldier. That moment broke him. They're training children, he whispered. In her private chamber, Ilara watched an old recording. It was the same one she had carried all her life, her parents standing on a balcony waving the human flag, smiling. Then came the sirens, then the bombs, then the silence. Tears formed in her eyes, but she didn't let them fall. For every child they took from us, she said quietly, we will take 10 of theirs. But even as she said it, her hands shook. Darren, back in his ship, began contacting secret members of the human fleet who had doubts. Pilots, engineers, medics. Not all wanted war. Some wanted to live, to build, not destroy. He had a plan. Quiet rebellion within the rebellion. As fleets moved and warships prepared for a final wave, the galaxy held its breath. Something bigger was coming. A final strike. Krolax received a hidden file from an unknown source. It contained a voice message. You want the truth? Come to the ruins of Delta 4, alone. He knew the name. Delta 4. Once a major human planet. Now just ruins in space. He made his choice. He arrived at the dead world. There, deep in the wreckage of the past, he found a hidden chamber. Inside, old human tech still flickered. Holograms, files, voices of people long gone. Then a figure stepped out of the shadows. Not human, not alien, a machine. Half human, half AI. You came, it said. You want answers? You're not ready. Krolax raised his weapon. Try me. The machine smiled. Ilara Voss was not the first, she was the last. The last archive. The galaxy was bleeding. Entire fleets had vanished. Cities once bright with alien life were now silent, drifting in space. The human warships left behind no glory, no trophies, only whispers of destruction and a symbol that haunted the stars, a skull carved in fire. But now, their targets began to change. Not military bases, not factories, archives. Deep in the mountains of the planet Karn 7, an ancient vault stood guarded for centuries, known as the Last Archive. Inside it were records from every empire, every war, every crime ever hidden. And within it, the truth of the human purge. Krolax stood at its gates, looking up at the massive stone entrance. He had traveled here in secret, against orders. His uniform was hidden beneath a traveler's cloak. No one trusted him now, neither aliens nor humans, but he needed answers. He was not the same cadet anymore. He had seen too much. Learned too much. He stepped into the darkness. Far away, in the hidden fleet, Captain Ilara Voss stood before her crew. The stars outside the ship burned red. The last archive is unguarded, said her second in command. The council believes we'll strike another military target. Ilara nodded slowly. Let them think that. Prepare all ships. Tonight, we take their memory. Why destroy the archive? Darren asked. Isn't it proof of what they did to us? Ilara looked at him for a long time. Truth means nothing to those who don't care. But silence? Silence is power. Darren's fists clenched. The rebellion inside him was growing. Inside the archive vault, Krolax walked through halls filled with glowing walls and floating data cores. He passed files on ancient wars, extinct species, and technologies lost to time. Then he found it. A sealed room labeled Operation Silence. Earth, he entered. The lights flickered. A hologram played. The original plan to destroy Earth. It wasn't a decision made in panic. It was a planned genocide agreed by all major empires to stop humans from rising too far, too fast. They were afraid of Earth, afraid of its ideas, its science, and its independence. Krolax sank to the floor. His people hadn't made a mistake. They had made a choice. Above the archive planet, the human fleet arrived. No warnings, no threats, just black ships sliding silently into orbit like knives into a throat. Planetary alarms screamed. Defenses activated. Too late. Ilara's warship led the charge. descending through the atmosphere with shields glowing. One by one, the Archive's defenses fell. But something was wrong. Inside the human fleet, rebels led by Duran disabled one of the strike teams. He sent a message to Alara. "You're not saving our past. You're erasing our future." Alara watched the message in silence. Around her, explosions lit the sky. She gave the order. "Launch drop squads, secure the core, no survivors." But inside, her hands were shaking. Krolax was still in the chamber when the ceiling shook. A loud crash, footsteps, gunfire, and then I'd silence. He turned. Standing there was Alara, in full combat armor, surrounded by human soldiers. They stared at each other. No words. Then she walked forward. "You're the alien who keeps following our shadows," she said. Krolax didn't raise his weapon. "I've seen the truth," he said. "This archive has it all. If you destroy it, your pain means nothing. You become them." Alara stepped closer. "I became them the day they killed my family." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small orb, a backup copy of the archive. "Data. You can burn the building, but you can't burn the truth." She raised her weapon, then lowered it. For a moment, her mask cracked. "What do you want from me?" she asked. Krolax looked her in the eyes. "Not revenge. Just a future where we both exist." Outside, Daran and his rebels clashed with loyalist humans. Ships exploded in the sky. Alien reinforcements arrived, too late to save the archive, but just in time to witness the truth. A massive explosion tore through the mountain. The archive collapsed, but not everything was lost. Krolax had escaped. Alara had vanished. Days later, across all galactic networks, a message was broadcast. The screen showed the truth. The human purge, the war crimes, the Council's lies. It had all been leaked by Krolax. And at the end of the message, one line appeared. "Truth does not need weapons. It needs courage." But something darker stirred in the void. From deep space, an unknown signal echoed. Not from the humans, not from the aliens. Something ancient, forgotten, awakened by the chaos, and watching everything. Beneath the fury, silence. Not peace, just silence. The kind that comes after a fire dies but before the smoke clears. The last archive was gone. A mountain of history turned to dust. The galaxy held its breath. But war was not over. It was only mutating. In a secret location between star systems, a rebel human ship drifted quietly. Inside, Commander Duran stood before a council of faces, all human, all weary, all uncertain. He looked around the room. "We were promised justice," he said, "but we've become something else, something darker." An older captain replied, "And if we stop, what then? Do we beg for forgiveness from the same empire that burned our ancestors alive?" Duran stepped forward. "No, we don't beg. We build. We become better than the monsters we were taught to fight." The rebels voted, quietly. They were now the first faction of the new humanity, one that believed survival didn't have to come through fire. Far away, beyond any known star map, in a part of space marked Dead Zone, No Return, something ancient stirred. A beacon blinked for the first time in 10,000 years. A soft hum began to rise in the void, not heard, but felt. And deep inside a ruined moon, hidden beneath stone and time, machines began to wake. Not human, not alien, something else. Meanwhile, Krolax had gone into hiding. After leaking the purge footage, he became a target. Alien leaders called him a traitor. Some wanted him dead, others wanted him silenced, but a few secretly agreed with him. He found refuge on a junk world called Delvar 9, where old machines go to die and secrets are traded like fuel. There, he met someone unexpected, an old human, pure, unmodified, with a metal eye and a soft voice. "You saw her, didn't you?" the old man asked. "Alara Voss," Krolax nodded. "She spared me. when she had no reason to. The old man laughed softly. She always had a reason. You just weren't part of it yet. Krolax frowned. You know her? The man nodded. I trained her. I was there when she was a child, when she still cried at night. So what happened to her? Krolax asked. The man leaned close. The galaxy happened. You can't grow flowers in fire. Ilara Voss stood alone inside the Vindicator, her flagship. She watched the stars in silence. Her war wasn't going the way she planned. The rebellion inside her own people was growing. The aliens were no longer united, but they were not weak either. And something in her mind kept echoing. A voice she hadn't heard in years. Her brother's voice. Promise me, Ilara, you'll make them remember, she whispered to the stars. I didn't just make them remember. I made them afraid. Her second-in-command entered the room. We intercepted something, he said. A signal. Strange frequency, not human, not alien. Repeating one word. Awake. Ilara turned sharply. Location? Unknown. It's moving. On the alien homeworld of Ravenor, the Council held its last emergency meeting. Tyrus, now in charge of military operations, gave a grim report. The human rebellion is splitting. Some seek peace. Some seek annihilation. But there's something worse. Something ancient is stirring. What is it? One elder asked. Tyrus paused. We don't know. But the humans are not our only problem anymore. Suddenly, a hologram cut into their channel, not human, not alien. A face made of static, eyes glowing like broken suns. War was your teacher. Destruction your language. We listened. Now, we speak. The signal vanished. Panic spread in the chamber. Back on Delvar 9, Krolax stood atop a metal cliff, staring at the stars. Something was wrong. The stars themselves were moving. A new fleet, bigger than any he had seen. Not human, not alien. A third force, ships shaped like broken bones powered by dark energy. The old man beside him dropped his tool. They were supposed to be extinct, he whispered. Who? Krolax asked. The old man's face went pale. The architects. The ones who made the first machines. The ones who created life, and then tried to end it. Ilara received the same data on her ship. Her officers looked to her for orders. What do we do? One asked. She closed her eyes. We stop fighting each other, she said softly, or none of us survive what comes next. But not all humans would listen. A rogue general named Thorn had broken from Ilara's command. He believed the coming war was a chance to wipe out the aliens and the ancient force, and rule what was left. He gathered a brutal fleet of loyalists. His message to the galaxy was simple. Let the stars burn. We will rebuild from ash. Now, three forces rise. Ilara's fleet, torn between vengeance and survival. The alien empires, weakened and afraid. The ancient architects returning to finish what they started. And one man, Krolax, holding the key to all three. The truth. The future is no longer war. It is something deeper. A war for the soul of the galaxy. The homeworld burns. The stars flickered. Not from light, from distortion. Ships vanished into thin air. Communication lines went silent. Navigation systems scrambled. Something massive, ancient, and unexplainable was moving through space. Not flying, but bending reality around it. The architects had awakened, and they were heading straight for the core systems of both human and alien space. But before anyone could stop them, the fire came from within. The homeworld of the Varnak Empire, planet Sirion Prime, once the shining heart of alien civilization, a planet of gold towers, floating cities, and endless history. Now, smoke, explosions, panic. The humans had arrived, but not Ilara. This attack came from General Thorn, the rogue warlord who had broken from her command. He didn't want truth. He didn't want peace. He wanted the fall of everything alien. Launch. All pods, Thorn commanded. No survivors. Today, the old world dies. His ship struck from orbit with precision. Plasma drills cracked the crust of Sirion Prime. Earthquakes tore through cities. Firestorms burned libraries, hospitals, even shelters. He called it justice. But it was genocide. On the far side of the galaxy, aboard the Vindicator, Captain Ilara Voss stood frozen. The reports were flooding in. Sirion Prime under attack. Mass civilian casualties. Human fleet ID Thorn's mark. She gripped the edge of the command table. He betrayed everything, she whispered. Darren stepped beside her. This is what happens when we let pain decide for us. Ilara turned sharply. This is not just pain. This is treason. For the first time, her voice cracked. That was not the mission. That was never the mission. Krolak, still recovering from the encounter on Delvar 9, received the news in a half-broken station near the border. Sirion Prime, gone. His people, his culture, his childhood sky, wiped out in hours. He sank to the floor. Everything he had tried to change, everything he hoped for, undone by a single man. He clenched his fists. I showed them the truth, and it gave birth to monsters. But before he could mourn, his screen blinked. An encrypted message, unknown source. Just a voice. The architects are using the chaos. They will consume both sides. You must find the core memory. It's the only thing they fear. The message ended. In a ruined control room on Sirion Prime, Thorn walked through the ashes, watching holograms of falling cities. A child's toy floated in the debris. He crushed it under his boot. Let them call me a villain, he muttered. Villains are remembered. Peace is forgotten. Behind him, a massive machine rose from underground, something the aliens had hidden deep beneath their capital, a relic from the pre-war era, something that shouldn't exist. A black cube, pulsing. Alive. What is that? Asked one of his officers. Thorn smiled. The reason they feared us, and the weapon they tried to bury. Meanwhile, Ilara had made her decision. We're going after Thorn, she said. No more warnings, no more speeches. Darren stepped in her way. If we fight him now, we give the architects a clear path through the galaxy. We need unity. Ilara shook her head. We can't have unity while he breathes. Krolax met with the rebel engineers and former alien scientists. Together, they decoded the architect's signal. What they found shocked them. The architects weren't just machines. They were code. Consciousness. They didn't destroy planets with weapons. They rewrote them. Data bombed them into erasure. Memory, identity, culture, gone. They were preparing to do the same with Earth and the last hidden human colonies, unless stopped. But there was a chance. An ancient program, buried long ago in one place. Earth's core memory, a massive neural vault containing all of original humanity's code. Thought, history, creativity. If activated, it could repel the architect's signal, maybe even disable them permanently. But to reach it, they had to go back to Earth. Back on Sirion Prime, Ilara's fleet arrived just as Thorn activated the cube. A beam of black light shot into the sky. Alien defense systems turned against themselves. Stars in orbit dimmed. It had begun. Ilara led the assault herself. Ship after ship fell in fire. Her voice echoed through the comms. This is not who we are. Thorn betrayed us, betrayed the dead, betrayed our future. She landed on the surface, fought through burning ruins, and confronted Thorn in the heart of a broken palace. You abandoned the mission, she growled. I became the mission, Thorn snapped. You hesitated. I delivered. They fought. Brutal. Close. No mercy. At the end, she held her weapon to his chest. He laughed. Go ahead. Kill me. You'll be just like me. She hesitated. Then, she lowered her weapon. I'd rather live with regret than become you. A single shot rang out. Duran, standing behind them, had fired. Thorn fell, but it was too late. The cube's energy pulsed one final time. In orbit, stars blinked out, not exploded, erased. A new architect fleet entered normal space. Not from hyperspace. From inside reality itself. Alara, covered in ash, stared up at the sky. This was never about us, she whispered. We were the distraction. Krolax's voice came through the comms. I found it. I know where the core memory is. Alara nodded. Then we have one last chance. The galaxy had lost its homeworld, but the soul of humanity, and maybe all life, still had a heartbeat. And Earth, the birthplace of myths, was about to rise again. A new myth. The stars were dim now, not from dust, not from distance, but because the architects were here. Not ships, not life. They were living data, thought, code older than the universe itself. They erased, not destroyed. They consumed, not conquered. And the galaxy had run out of time. Far below the cosmic storm, a forgotten planet rotated silently. Dead seas. Cracked land. Cities half swallowed by dust. Earth, the home of humanity, lost, erased from records, hidden behind false coordinates, and now, their last chance. Alara Voss stood at the bridge of her flagship, the Vindicator, staring down at the ruins of the world she never knew, only remembered through nightmares and old songs. Beside her, Krolax finished decrypting the final set of coordinates. The core memory vault is buried under the old equator, deep, almost planetary core level. She nodded, eyes locked forward. Then we go beneath the ashes. Elsewhere, Daran led a rebel human and alien joint fleet, holding the line at the edge of Earth's orbit. The architects had arrived, not with fire, but with silence. One by one, ships shut down. Pilots lost memories mid-flight. Engineers forgot what stars were. Artificial minds were overwritten. The war was no longer for land or power. It was for identity. Inside the planet, Alara, Krolax, and a strike team descended through miles of ancient tunnels, remnants of old Earth. The walls whispered, literally, old human languages, songs, war cries, poetry, echoes trapped in the machine code of the planet. Alara paused at a door. On it was written in faded ink, "We are what we remember." She opened it. Inside lay the core memory vault, a pulsating orb of golden data. Alive. Breathing. Alara stepped forward. The orb reacted to her DNA. Her blood, her pain, her fire. The room filled with images, children playing in city parks, artists, painting, soldiers helping enemies, mothers teaching languages, dreamers looking at stars. This was not a weapon. This was what it meant to be human. Suddenly the vault shook. The architects had found them. Their signal began piercing the vault, rewriting the code in real time. We're losing it, Krolax warned. We're out of time, Daran said. Overcomes. They're bypassing defenses. Alara stared at the golden orb, then at her hands, scarred, broken, trembling. I was made for revenge, she whispered. But this is more than revenge. Krolax looked at her. What are you saying? I'm saying I know how to activate the vault. How? It needs a mind. Alara stepped into the center. The machine began scanning her memories. Not just knowledge, but emotion, pain, loss, rage, hope, regret. Her entire life, from the burning cities of her childhood to the war she nearly lost herself in, was uploaded into the core. The orb began to glow. Outside, in orbit, the architect fleet paused, then pulsed, then screamed. The core sent out a shockwave, not of power, but of memory. Billions of fragments of human history burst across the galaxy. The stars remembered. Ships regained function. Pilots began to weep mid-battle, not from fear, but from remembering who they were. Krolak stared as alien ships once, at war with humans, turned and fought beside them. The Architect fleet began to flicker, data bleeding. They had no story. No heart, no reason to exist except to erase. And now, in the face of identity, they began to unravel. But inside the vault, Ilara was fading. The core had taken everything. Her voice crackled over comms. "You were right, Krolax. We weren't a myth. We were a warning. And now, we're a memory." The light inside the vault pulsed once, then dimmed. She was gone. Above Earth, the sky cleared. The Architect fleet, gone. Erased. The war was over. Weeks later, on Earth's surface, a monument was built near the core vault. No flags, no borders, just a statue of Ilara standing tall, not with a weapon but with a book in one hand and a broken helmet in the other. On its base were simple words. "She gave us back our story." Krolax walked through the ruins of old cities, helping rebuild with humans and aliens side by side. Darren led the new alliance, writing a shared history that all species would remember. Truth, not propaganda. And children on dozens of worlds now heard the name human, not as a myth, but as a new legend. Because in the end, humanity's return wasn't about war. It was about one thing: memory. And in a galaxy once ruled by fear, a new myth had begun.